Hey guys, this is RyGuyGaming here today, back with another video. You'll have to excuse my voice for the beginning of this. I did just barely wake up. Hopefully throughout the video it will get better though. But anyways, I was originally going to live stream this, but I don't think I will be able to find a good hour or two where I'll be able to do that today. So I just decided to record this. I was going to do this yesterday on the 1st, but my timing, as always, is horrible, and I just barely started planning this video yesterday. So you are stuck with me today. So basically, you can see that I kind of want to keep the relaxed structure of a live stream. This won't be heavily edited at all. If I need to show you anything, I'll just put it on the screen here, and we can search things if we need to or whatever, like if I want to show stuff. But basically, today, I haven't even said yet, we're going to be doing a question and answer. And so I asked my Discord server for some questions, and I'm just going to go down the list of them and answer them. It looks like we have some pretty decent topics, courtesy of my Discord server members. And so yeah, we're just going to go down the list and answer these. Our first couple questions come to us from our good friend Nick Namus. And his first question is, what's your favorite Roblox game? So here I've pulled up my Roblox favorites list. I haven't played Roblox in a while, to be honest, so a lot of my favorites are going to be older. Roblox Tycoon is the first game that I ever favorited, or at least the one that has stuck around in my inventory or whatever you call it for the longest. Can you change your username on Roblox now? I don't recognize some of these usernames. I swear the guy that did Roblox Tycoon was named like Crazy Man or something. Maybe you can change your username. Anyways, out of all of them, I think my favorite would either have to be Wings World 3, or is it 4? This is I think it's 3. It's the one right before it got super complex. Some of you might be too young to even remember this, and I was looking through trying to see if I could find it. This is Wings World 5. Maybe it's Wings World 4. Let's look. Okay, yeah, no, this is one of the complicated ones. So in these ones, you would actually like become the plane. Like you would choose a plane and you would become it and fly it around. In Wings World 3, it was just like a normal, I think the idea of the game was that you worked for like a search and rescue operation. And so like you had like helicopters and planes that you could go fly around and like pick people up out of the ocean. Because if people crash their planes, they had to just either kill themselves or just sit there with a life vest floating in the ocean. And so that was always fun. And yeah, that's probably one of my favorites. I think my second favorite would have to be this game, Keth Shipyards, or Keith. I don't know how this guy pronounces his name. Keith usually has an I in it, so I usually say Keth. But basically, this is just a spaceship game. So you're on like a space station and you can fly a bunch of different spaceships. This was actually the inspiration for my spaceship game. I called it RSS, or Rye Space Station. Very creative. But so basically, yeah, you just have all these different ships. You can fly them around. Some of them have guns, so you can shoot each other. You can fly over to the planets. Sometimes you would always have griefers that would and sometimes that griefer would be me, but they would fly around and blow up the docked ships so no one could fly around. Although, now that I think about it, this game is pretty fun too. I spent so long on this game. If we're going off of like time spent on a single game, I think this is the game I've spent the most time on. So I changed my mind. I think out of all of my Roblox games, I think I would have to say this one has been consistently my top favorite. Just because I know it's basically like a fishing simulator, but just when you finally get enough money to buy all your stuff and buy a ship, it's really fun. until the enemy team is overpowered and just comes and raids you all day. Then that sucks. But if you're the team doing the raiding, then it's super fun. As for a more recent game, probably my favorite would be Vehicle Simulator. I don't know why this car has like jets coming off the bottom, or are those just lights? I don't know. But I don't know. I freaking love this game. It's kind of simple, but I think it's super fun. I don't have an amazing car, but like I have a decent car, so it's fun. Still saving up for that Tesla, of course. And then this is probably my other favorite recent game. It's exactly like Battlefront 2 Space Battles, and it's honestly what the EA Space Starship game should have been. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't even played that game or seen any gameplay, to be honest, but this reminds me of Battlefront 2 so much, and it's super fun. Sometimes if you get on a lobby where the people aren't that experienced, you can absolutely destroy kids, and it's super fun. But I just spent forever on one question, so let's move on to the next one. So the next question was cats or dogs. When I was really young, I actually had a pet rat. He lasted for about 5 years till he died. Then we got a pet dog. She is a Shih Tzu mixed with a Chihuahua. I call her Chihuahua, but her name is Gwen, or Guinevere, and she is like 7 now, I think. We still have her, but she was very little. It's kind of hard to tell from this picture, but you could easily fit her in one hand. Now she's about 15 to 20 pounds, which is unfortunately significantly bigger. She wasn't supposed to get as big as she is, but you know, she's still a small dog, which is nice. I don't really have a more recent picture of Gwen. That was when she was a puppy. At least one that isn't on my phone. But yeah, if I had to answer that question, I'd say it kind of changes though with age. Like when I was younger, I would have said big dogs all the way. Now that I'm older, I would say small dogs all the way. And if I had to own a pet like myself and not just like play with someone else's, I would say cat or small dog. I'm just not the kind of person that would do well with a big dog. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't like to, go outside all that often and like run around for hours. Because I don't know if you've ever had a big dog, especially when they're a puppy. I have. Like I would take my big dog on like hour walks, and we would get back and he would still be crying because he wanted to like go outside and play more. And we lived in a small apartment at the time, and it just wasn't fun for him. Yeah, if you have energy, then big dogs are great. I don't, so I would say small dog or cat, just because cats, you literally do nothing except clean up after them. So that's kind of like a pretty nice pet if you're lazy. The next question from our friend Nick is, what is your favorite thing about life? And I probably should have thought about this one more before starting the recording, because there are a lot of things that I genuinely enjoy about life. I would not say that I am one of those people on the internet that cry about their life all day and say everything sucks. I'm definitely one of those people that are more positive about things. So I would say, honestly, I think it would be friends. And I know that's really vague, but hear me out. So I have a job that's pretty boring. Like it's basically just a desk job, and which made me realize that I might not want to go into the field that I'm getting my degree in, but we'll talk about that later because I think there's more questions about that. But anyways, so with my job, most of the time I really don't like going into it, but at least at first. But after like a couple months or so, I started getting some good friends, just buddies to chat with and stuff. And then I really started to like my job. It was the same thing with school. A lot of people said like their middle school and high school were trash years. I don't think so. I actually had a lot of friends. I wouldn't say I was the most popular kid in the world or anything, but I would say that I was nice to people. And so it was easy for me to make friends. And that was honestly one of the biggest reasons that I would go to school and enjoy going to school. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely more of a studious person. I enjoyed my classes most of the time. I think there were only a couple classes that I didn't really enjoy. But for the most part, I think friends are what keep me going. I'm not a extrovert either. I definitely enjoy my time alone and my time at home. But when I do like have to go somewhere like work or school, friends definitely help that out. And I think honestly, that's why I haven't been having as much fun at college as a lot of people normally do, just because I don't really have time to make a lot of friends. To get to school, I have to ride on a train for 2 hours, and then to get home, I have to ride for 2 hours back. And so I don't really have time to like stick around and mingle. And there's only really 10 minutes in between my classes most of the time. So when I was going to school, I didn't really have a lot of time for making friends, because I would get there right before my class started. I would sit in class, listen to the lecture, whatever, and then I would just go home because if I missed the bus, I would have to wait a whole nother hour for the next train. So I would zoom out of there as soon as class was over so I wouldn't miss that bus. So yeah, to reiterate again, I think the best thing about life, for me at least, is having good friends, people you can just talk to and mess around with and have fun. That, and as an extension of that, that might be my favorite thing, is just having fun, the ability to laugh and enjoy your time with whatever you're doing or with other people. It's just a great thing that I love. The next question, thankfully, is crossed out because it says Ryan Light fanfic when. Never, at least not from me. So I don't know if we have any authors in the Discord server, but I hope that doesn't give you any ideas. Now we have some questions for Real Mim, or from Real Mim, sorry. The first one he has is, how was 2020 for you? And to be honest, it wasn't like awful. It was kind of a roller coaster though. So I think a lot of people forget the first of the year. In the US at least, I don't know if it was out of like an ignorance or anything, but for the first 3 months or so, no one seemed to really be freaking out, at least no one around me. So it was kind of nice. It was just the usual start of a year for me. I would go to work, go to school, nothing out of the ordinary. But then the same week that I had my spring break, I took the whole week off work. That was when everybody decided that it was time to go home from their jobs. And it was kind of like everyone decided to do it on the same day. I don't even remember if President Trump mandated it at the time. It just seemed like my whole state, maybe even the country, but I don't know, decided to go home on the same day. So I was sitting there having my spring break vacation, just playing video games and cussing out my internet. So right at the start of the pandemic, this was probably one of my least favorite parts of the year. For like a good month, my internet was garbage because everyone was using it, and a lot of these big ISPs didn't have the infrastructure for all the people using the internet working from home now at the time. And so we had constant cutouts for a good month where the internet would just drop out and we'd have to wait a good half hour before it would come back. And it was super slow all the time. That was when YouTube set their auto quality to 480p instead of 720 or 1080 or just whatever your connection could handle, because they wanted to try to save bandwidth, because everyone working from home is watching YouTube or Netflix. So but then after that, I would say the severity, I wouldn't say the severity, the realness of it all didn't hit me until about the summer, when I was like, holy crap, this sucks. I've been inside forever. I can't even go to school. I can't even try to make friends in classes. This sucks. I haven't been to work in forever to talk to my friends there. Really all you can do is either talk to your family or people over a screen. And so I would say the summer, to be honest, was probably my lowest point for the year, just because that's when the reality of the situation kind of hit me. And I was kind of upset because I didn't know how long the thing would last. And I mean, it's still going, but, they are rolling out vaccines in some places and to certain people, at least in the US, which is nice. But then after that, after the summer and after I kind of accepted it, it was fine, I sit at home most of the days anyways, and it was nothing new. So basically the only thing that's changed for me is that my work and school is at home, which is nice because I don't have to. So my work is like an hour and a half away on the train, and then my school is 2 hours. My work is in between my home and my school on a map. It kind of sucked. Some days I would have to train to both. Some days I would get a ride to work and only have to train to school, or that would only take an hour and a half, thankfully. And some days I'd have to train the whole way. It just depended. But now I don't train at all, so my Switch doesn't get used as much. I went out and bought 2 new Nintendo Switch games yesterday, so maybe I'll get some more use out of it because I spent more money on it. But I used to play my Switch on the train all the time, and now I hardly touch it because I'm sitting in front of a PC all day. So yeah, overall, I think if you add it all up, my 2020 was right below good and like the fine area. Like it wasn't terrible, it wasn't horrible, it wasn't awful. I think it was fine, right below good. The next question is an interesting one, and I'm glad it got asked because I like talking about this. It says, have you ever considered to speedrun Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage? Could be great. Yes, I have. I actually did a live stream many years ago, probably 5 years ago now. 4 or 5? No, probably 4 or 3, more like, where I practice speedrunning tricks. So I can do most of them. Now, I wouldn't say I can do them consistently. Like, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But I'm going to be talking about this for a second. So I can do crush skip is easy. Gulp skip I can do. It just takes me forever. The setup isn't what's hard for me. It's actually getting out of bounds. Like, once you drop down... Oh, I guess I should mention, I'm talking about the any % speedrun here. Once you like drop down off that ledge where you're trying to clip through the wall, let me see if I can find a video so I can have something playing in the background while I'm talking about this. So yeah, here's gulp skip. So you come up here to this wall, and the idea is you nudge forward. So this is a wall right here. I guess he's gonna put text. I don't know. This is a wall right here, but because you can charge through it, it's invisible on this side and there's no collision. So basically, you start the trick. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you're supposed to kind of like clip halfway out the wall like this, and then you just keep slowly nudging towards the wall. This is probably the hardest trick in the game. Once you see your shadow drop down, that means you're doing good, and then you just kind of want to keep going. Jump a little bit, keep nudging yourself towards the wall, and then eventually, I think he messes up here because I think he kills himself. Yeah, so he goes back. Eventually, there you go. Eventually, you'll drop down, so you're like half in the wall and half out of the wall. This is where I get stuck. Usually once people get here, they don't seem to have issues, but this is actually where I have the most issues. So let's see. Yeah, so the only way you can really move is if you jump. So the idea is to jump over to this corner here, and then you just fall forever. This is where I get stuck. Whatever I do, I cannot get out of here, but eventually you kind of just break out of it, and you can glide over to this portal. So that's really the only trick. That and proxies are the only trick that keep me from really wanting to practice and get good, because they're just they seem kind of inconsistent and difficult to do. Otherwise, I would probably be speedrunning Spyro 2 a lot more. Now, there are other categories like 100% or 40 Talisman where you don't have to do gulp skip. Actually, I lied. I think the fastest route on all of the speedruns is to do gulp skip, and then that proxy in Winter Tundra. So... yeah, basically I just need to practice more, but I have tried it. I am good at the double jump. I can do pretty much everything else except those 2 things. So who knows, maybe if I get a urge to, I'll practice in the future, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not very competitive though, and I'm not very good at stuff like that, so I doubt you'll ever see me like at the top of the leaderboards. Okay, our next set of questions comes from iAlpha1972. The first one says, what is your most favorite game? That is a good question because I think we were just looking at so if you're talking like favorite game of all time, I don't know, that's a hard one. So let me turn this filter off. So here's the games I have on PC. I've pretty much bought up every game I've ever had on console. So we should be able to get a pretty good idea of what games I've actually played from this list. My most nostalgic game is definitely Spyro 2. I don't know if I'd say it's my like favorite all-time game though. I think the game I've spent the most time on, see, there's different reasons to have a favorite though. Like if I was to say, you know, like my favorite in a genre, my favorite third-person action game is Arkham Knight. I have like hundreds. I'm pretty sure this is the game that I put the most time into. Yeah, if you sort by hours played, I've played the most in Arkham Knight. And now that I see it here, maybe I would say that my favorite game is Halo Reach. And that is just because of, like I said before, with the friends thing. I had a ton of friends that played Halo Reach for like 2 summers straight, and like the years in between. That's all we would play. My brother and I, and like at least 6 of my friends at the time. We would get on every day after school, every weekend, every summer, and just do custom games, matchmaking, whatever. And we'd try to beat the campaign on legendaries. Same with Halo 4, but not to the same extent. I think Reach is the one where we really put the most time into. So yeah, I have 20 hours on PC Halo. I think on Xbox I have way more, just because of how much time we spent on that freaking game. We would have tons of fun just like yelling at each other. So yeah, I think just because of that, I would have to say my favorite like gaming time that I've ever spent on a game was with Halo Reach. If I had to pick a single player game, I think it would be Arkham Knight is my favorite, at least out of the ones that I own currently. I really, and that's not to say I don't like all these other games, except I don't know why I put so much time into Skyrim, and maybe because I put so much time into it, this is why I feel like this. I don't think I'll ever play this game again. I've done pretty much everything there is to do, and I mean, I know they have their modding thing, but I don't see myself going back to this game. I could see myself replaying like Oblivion like 100 more times, but I just can't get into Skyrim as much as I can with Oblivion. But we'll move on because I've already spent a lot of time on other questions and I don't want to waste a ton of time on this question too. If you could live anywhere, where would it be? So I'm different from a lot of people. I don't really care where I live, as long as I have a nice place to live. If I get to pick my house too, I would say I'd like to live somewhere that's outside of the city in a large house, maybe like 5 bedrooms. I guess it would depend on the size. Like if I had a family, the size of my family, how big the house would be. I guess assuming like, let's say I had like a 5-person family. I think that's pretty average in the US. That's how many my family had. Then I guess we would have like a 5-bedroom house. So that way there's a room for everyone. Because, the parents usually share a bedroom. So then you would have like a spare guest room that's like kind of outside of the city and not quite suburban either. I think, like maybe up on a hill or something, kind of away from it all, to where that you can get a lot of land, but you're close enough to an area where you can like go shopping and there's like a McDonald's and there's like fast food and restaurants and stuff. So I think that would be ideal. If you're talking just like countries and stuff, I honestly can't. I don't want to like trigger anyone, but I honestly can't see myself moving outside of the US just because that's where I grew up. That's where I enjoy living. I think Maine might be nice just because they have like a lot of open space and a lot of like bigger houses. I had a buddy whose dad lived in Maine, and he had like a half mile in between his house and the next guy's house, or maybe it was a mile. I don't know, but it was like some huge amount of space. And like mowing the lawn was like an all-day affair on a riding mower just because of how big their property they could have in Maine. Or maybe like Vermont. I hear that's also a nice state to live. Or to be honest, I'd be fine living in pretty much the exact place I'm living right now. I'm not too picky when it comes to where I live. What is your biggest fear? Oh boy. When I was younger, it used to be lightning. I don't know what it was. I had just something about electricity coming from the sky being able to hit anywhere randomly seemed kind of creepy to me. I'm not really afraid of like bugs or anything, or snakes. I don't really care, or rats. I had a pet rat, obviously, and I also had pet snakes. And I guess we did have pet bugs too, but you just keep those in jars. You can't really have a pet bug. As cliche as this may sound though, and I hate to say it because it is so cliche, I think dying alone, never finding someone, I think that would be my biggest fear. I'm not gonna dwell on that just because I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to it. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on. And sorry if that's not the answer you wanted. If you wanted something silly like, oh, I'm afraid of like clowns or something, but that's just not the case. What really makes you angry? I was going to say nothing until my dog started barking during my recording of this. So I would say either the Assassin's Creed games or my dog barking while I'm trying to record something. It used to be airplanes. In my old house, they would fly over my house like at least every half hour. So it was almost impossible to record something in a single take. But now it's my dog barking is really the worst sound that I have to deal with. And the reason I say the Assassin's Creed game is just because I've been playing through those recently, and some of the like optional objectives are really, it's not that they're difficult, some of them are just really stupid and make it unnecessarily complex to do something that should be simple. It's like kill a guy, but then the optional objective is like kill him using this weapon while you do this, blah blah blah, and it's just annoying. And sometimes the parkour will mess you up. And the only reason I'm saying this is because these are the games I've been playing recently. I've been playing through the series, but that wasn't the question. The question was, what makes you angry? And so, yeah, I think it's to kind of generalize that. I guess I would say it's when a game makes you do stupid things to get 100%, like things that you normally wouldn't do. Like, I'm fine with all the collectibles. That's cool. But when it makes you do like extra crap that like no one would do unless it makes you do it, that's why I'm kind of salty. Or when my dog barks when I'm trying to record. But I like to consider myself a pretty easygoing person. So to be honest, there is not a lot that makes me like actually angry. The next question is, what is your favorite thing about being a YouTuber? I guess I would have to say that my favorite thing is just the interactions with people. I really like that I get to talk to so many people. I especially like on the tutorial videos when the people are like, hey, thanks, this really helped. I couldn't find a video on this anywhere, and then yours popped up, and I really appreciate it. I think those are knowing that I was able to help someone, since my channel is or used to be focused on helping people out. I think that was always my favorite part, is just when people would actually be helped by the stuff that I would make. And that's why I did the tutorials for so long, was because I was like, hey, why don't I actually show people how to do stuff? Because back in the day, there wasn't really a lot of like the super complex Roblox games you see now, because you never got paid for your games. So basically, it was only just hobbyists. There wasn't like whole studios or whatever coming on and making games. It was just single guys just making games because they enjoyed it. So everything was a lot simpler. And at the same time, there were a lot less resources to learn how to program Lua and how to use the Roblox API. And so I was like, well, I guess I could show people how to use that, and then we could, get better games, get more people interested in the programming. I actually talked to my professor about that, programming education, especially in like early years, like elementary, middle school. And I think Roblox is a really good step towards that. Getting kids engaged in something and then adding programming to it. It's kind of like how a lot of people might have learned programming from their calculator because they were bored in math and decided to write simple programs in like TI-84 basic or whatever, or I guess TI-83. And so yeah, I think it's just when I am able to see that the stuff I make actually helps people, or it actually gives them a chuckle. Because before I did tutorials, I used to do like, let me pull up my channel. Back before I did tutorials, sorry if this is blinding, this is definitely blinding me. I like my dark mode. I used to do machinimas, so don't go looking for these. You won't find any of them. As you can see, they're all private. Maybe we'll watch them in a future video if I get like requests to. We can watch a couple of these. But I used to do machinimas, only for like the first 3-ish years of my channel, maybe only even 2. I used to do RuneScape, Club Penguin. Sometimes I would do stuff with toys, Lego stop motion. And yeah, if I could make someone laugh, that was kind of what I was going for. Although at the time I was only probably like 12, so I wasn't that funny. And I go back and watch these, and they're more funny now just because of the cringe. But yeah, I don't know if I ever genuinely got someone to laugh because of the content that was in the video. But anyways, I guess my channel has always kind of had like helping people, because after I got done with my machinima thing, I started doing like, I had an iPod 4, 4th gen, and I started doing like jailbreak videos, tweak videos, different stuff to help people get like their iPhone or iPod tricked out, like all these videos on how to do different things with tweaks. Those are from talent shows. I just put those on here so I have somewhere to store them. I don't think I'll ever show those, to be honest. Those are just on here for like friends and family. But yeah, and then you can see here's where I started the tutorials. I remember sitting in my it was either financial literacy or sociology. I had the same teacher. I remember sitting there like, geez, I haven't touched my YouTube channel in forever. What the heck can I do? And I was like, hey, why don't I do Roblox stuff? I've been playing Roblox recently. I remember writing down the outline for these first 10 Roblox Studio tutorials, and then it just kind of took off from there, because once I had those, I started thinking of like scripting things I could do. And then people actually started giving suggestions, and so I was able to run from there. Surprisingly enough, people don't really give me suggestions anymore. Like, they'll sometimes say, can you do a video on this? But it's like super specific and would only help them, which are the kind of video ideas that I don't like, because I like to help a lot of people, not just one. Yeah, and most of the time people want something really specific. I still have a list of ideas. Some of them good, some of them not good, but I don't really get requests that much anymore for Roblox tutorials, which is weird because they're still my most viewed videos, so you think people would be requesting stuff. I don't know. Maybe they just go watch album blocks or something. Next set of questions we have are from Chandubaba 007. Noise. So his first question is basically, how old were you, or how long ago did you start to learn programming and game design? And my first introduction to programming, I always tell people it's when I was about 12 or 14, but it actually happened a lot earlier. I just barely remembered this a while ago, and I can't believe I forgot about it. It was when I was about 8, I want to say, maybe even younger. No, 8 sounds right. And I was playing Club Penguin a lot at the time, and I was like, I wonder how they do all this stuff. So I think I asked my dad, like, how do you make games? And so he told me about like programming and stuff. And I said, oh, that's cool. I'd like to learn how to do that. And so he went out, and I don't know if he bought it or pirated it or it was free, but there was this learn programming, like beginner programming language specifically for games. Like they had a bunch of sprite manipulation calls, they had drawing calls, like you could draw a circle easily, you could move sprites around the screen really easily. I never got good at it. It was called like My First Programming Language, but I think the programming was spelled PH, like Frogram, because their mascot was like a frog. And so I don't know if it still exists, and I don't even remember if it was good, but I remember it had a bunch of demos. Like they had already typed in stuff like an asteroids clone and stuff like that. And so I was like, holy crap, I'm going to make the next Club Penguin. And I remember talking to my friends about this at school, and we were going to call it Club Spider. And it was basically going to be a clone of Club Penguin, except you were a spider, and instead of igloos, you would have like webs and stuff. And we came up with all these ideas, and it was super fun. But obviously, that never happened. I think the furthest I got was moving a spider sprite around on the screen that I drew, and then I kind of lost interest for a while. And then I didn't really program for the next couple years. But this is where the story I normally tell picks up. When I was about 14, I was like, hey, I'd like to get back into programming. That sounds cool. So I asked my dad, he's like, oh, I actually have this book that's really cool. It will help you learn C#, which is a programming language. So he highlighted the chapters for me to read, which was basically all of them except like some database stuff. So basically he just said, don't bother with these chapters. When you want to learn databases, I'll just teach you myself. But anyway, so I read the book the first time through at the computer, typing in all the examples, and I did it pretty quick. I want to say it only took me like a couple weeks to get through it, just because I had a ton of fun with it. I'd spend hours just typing in the things, reading the book, and then once I finished that, I was actually, I knew kind of what I was doing until later on when I realized I didn't really know absolutely anything, but I thought I knew what I was doing. And C#, in my opinion, is a really nice language to learn with. People say Python, people say other stuff, but C#, you can actually make programs that look like programs. So like with Python, a lot of programs will just look like this. Like they're just command line programs. And like even though the syntax here is pretty easy to learn, what you get is kind of boring. So like, what is the price of the pizza? What is the diameter of the pizza? I don't know, 10 inches, I guess. The pizza is 16 cents per square inch. And so you're like, oh, cool. But, that's boring. But with C#, in the book, this is one of the first programs they actually have you make. And it actually looks like a real program. So this is a picture viewer. So if I come in here, I can click on a picture and it shows up. And then this other stuff, this wasn't part of the book. This was just stuff I added. And it asks you if you want to quit like 6 times. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's why C# can be really nice, because you get into you have to have a Windows, which is kind of unfortunate, but you can get into making like real looking programs really easily, and it's not like difficult at all. So that's why sometimes I actually recommend it as a first language, because a lot of people, when you're programming, it's really boring to type in a bunch of stuff and then see just text pop up on a black command prompt and you're like, oh my gosh. But to see like an actual program pop up where you could maybe like mess with like the different ways to lay out the program and all the GUI elements, I think that's really cool. And I think that would keep a lot of people involved that would normally get bored of just white text on a black background. Yeah, to answer your question, I've probably been programming for at least 12 years seriously, and a lot longer since I got introduced. Regarding game design, I've never actually done anything like specifically game design until I took a class in it this last semester. Most of my game design experience has been self-taught, and it's mostly from Roblox and just making my own games. I have a video cataloging all the different versions of my Epic Quest game that I made. That was probably my first introduction. My second. Roblox was still my first introduction to game design, because I don't really count the stuff that I did when I was really young, where I was just making like pictures move around when you push the arrow keys. And then my first like actual really trying to learn game design wasn't until I took a class on it last semester. And they called it game programming, and I was kind of excited because I thought I was going to get to learn how to program like an engine, maybe some physics, how to draw stuff. But no, they should have just called it Unity, because that's basically all we did, was just make a game in Unity. I would show you, but it's honestly not that good. I'm surprised I got an A in that class. I'd like to work on it a little more before I actually show it to anyone. Next question, sorry that one took forever, is what's your age? I am 24. I just barely turned 24 in September. Where do you live? I've been more specific than this before, but for this video, I'll just say Midwest, US. What are your credit and debit card credentials? Well, let me tell you. Why did you get interested in computers? So, I have been on computers since maybe before I can walk, but at least as long as I've been able to walk. I remember some of the first games I ever played. Let me see if I can find a picture, actually. Alright, here we go. So I can't believe I actually managed to find this, but this is, I think this is the activity center, the very first one that I used to play as a kid. Basically, you know, it's one of those learning games where they have like letters and stuff, and you go around and learn things. Wow. This is weird to see this after all these years. I remember my brother actually broke the CD in half. He was a lot younger than me, and he just got a hold of it one day and snapped it. He probably was like 1 or 2. And I was really mad. But so I guess that's another way you can make me mad, is to snap one of my childhood games in half while I'm still a child. But yeah, basically, like I said, I basically grew up attached to a mouse. So it's really like not a question of why did I get interested in the computers. It's more like, well, I guess I can answer that question. I think it was just because my dad used to do a lot of stuff on them, and so I guess just seeing him on them all the time made me want to try them out. Because I think he used to run a couple websites before he got a job, and so he was on all the time, like updating his sites and stuff. And so I guess I just wanted to see what all the fuss was about on the computer. Okay, so next is a couple questions from Light that I'm gonna skip over for now. I want to save those to the end. So the next question is credit card credentials again, and then after that we have GG Gamer with a question, or G Gamer. I actually kind of like that because it's like both GG and G Gamer. I think that's cool. Anyway, he says, do you read manga? And if so, what is your favorite genre? If you would have asked me this like a month or 2 ago, I would have said no. But actually, I have started reading comic books and mangas recently. I don't know if I have a favorite genre. I guess if I had to talk, I'm talking specifically manga here. I guess if I had to say like what I like to read, it would be stuff that I've already watched as like an anime or a movie. I only have 3 mangas that I'm reading right now. Or I think manga is already plural. But yeah, basically I'm reading Yu-Gi-Oh!, Death Note, and Big Hero 6. And that's pretty much only because I've already seen those. And they're actually surprisingly good. I didn't think I would like manga, but they're actually pretty good. Big Hero 6, I'm a big person that thinks books are almost always better than movies. I think Big Hero 6 is the rare exception where the manga is actually worse than the movie. I think they did a really good job with the cartoon, and I'm not seeing the same thing from the manga. But I've only read one of the graphic novels, like the volume one, so I guess we'll just have to see. As far as comic books go, I mostly read, right now, mostly Batman and Spider-Man. I have a lot of catching up to do, so just kind of reading stories here and there. Like I've read Year One, Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and I think I'm about to start. I actually don't remember which Batman comic I'm about to start, but for Spider-Man, I'm just reading the Ultimate Spider-Man run, which looks pretty good. I've read like one volume so far. It's pretty good. I'm on volume 2 right now. All right, and the last set of questions are from my boy Light. He has a bunch of questions pertaining to my YouTube channel. I'm going to answer the questions that he sent me in private messages before the ones that he put in the channel where I asked for questions. Because they shouldn't take as long. First question is, would you be up for multiplayer? Yes. I think I have probably took them all down now, but in Let's Talks in the past, I used to have this series called Let's Talk where I kind of just talk kind of like this, but obviously a lot shorter and about a specific subject. I just talk about things and have like simple visuals on the screen and kind of like update videos, but I would almost do one like once a week, I think. And I believe in a couple of those at least. I said, hey, if you guys ever want to play multiplayer games, let me know. The only problem is I don't have a lot of multiplayer games. If you've looked over the games I do have, like I'm big on Halo. I have Modern Warfare. That's pretty fun. I definitely play either of those with people. Anything else, I probably have to buy because I don't have a lot of other multiplayer titles. And just know that if we did play multiplayer, you'd probably destroy me because I'm not very good. I think my KD in most games is like averaging like a 0.6. So that's kind of embarrassing. And I do plan on doing some, if I can ever get him to go along with it, I do plan on doing some content with my brother, and those will most likely be multiplayer games because that's just what he likes to play. Next up from Light, he asks face cam. And I say, I have done face reveals in the past, but I think I took them all down. I don't think there's a face reveal on my channel anymore, although I think I technically did in this video because my face was in the talent show thumbnails, although that was my face from like 10 years ago. So back when I was in 9th grade and 8th grade, so like 10 and 11 years ago. Gosh, that feels weird to say. I can't believe it's been 10 years since I was in 9th grade. I'll bet some of you aren't even in 9th grade yet. But yeah, I'm not opposed, although it's one of those things that I'd rather have like viewers say like, hey, we want the face cam rather than me just deciding to put it in. I do have like a decent webcam that I got for Zoom calls and for like Teams for school and stuff, so I mean, I could do it, I just haven't done it because I haven't really seen a demand for it. And then his next question is, more tutorials or gameplay? And I don't know if you can see from my recent uploads, but I have kind of been shifting away from tutorials more into gameplay. It's not because I don't want to do tutorials anymore, it's just because I'm running out of good ideas. I don't really play Roblox anymore, so it's kind of hard for me to do tutorials on something that I haven't really kept up with. Like sometimes people will be teaching me things in the comments because I haven't been doing anything in forever, so there's stuff I don't know about, and I'd like to be, you know, more informed when I make tutorials. So that's kind of why they haven't been on for a while. I could do tutorials on other things, I guess, if people asked for them. I'm open to a lot of stuff, so let me know. But for the most part, definitely gameplays is probably the way I want to go. Oops, just realized I missed a question from G Gamer. So his second question was, what is your favorite type of Roblox game? I would say when I was younger, tycoons, but once they all became the same copy paste garbage that they have now, or at least that they used to back when I played, I would say simulations. I think they're pretty complex and I enjoy the amount of work that goes into them, and they're usually really cool. I can have fun with some town and city games. Like, I think Meep City was really fun if you had someone to play with. But back to Light's questions. His next one is, was this how you initially thought that your YouTube career would go? And no, I did not think I would ever reach 2,000 subs. I know that's kind of a small number, but I feel like after after like what, 12 years, it was bound to happen eventually. So that's really cool. Honestly, I think if you would have asked me 12 years ago what I would be doing, it probably wouldn't have been YouTube. I think I would have said that maybe I would do it for a couple years. Maybe if I got lucky or was smart, I would have one video that would get like kind of big and then I would just be done. Because I started YouTube before people were using it as a career and before people really made money off of it. Like, there were some people, because like if you partnered with Machinima or other networks, you could make money. But I don't think YouTube had their partner program yet, or it wasn't quite as big as it is now. So there weren't really people living off of YouTube at the time, at least not directly. Like I said, you'd have to be partnered with a network. And so, no, I did not see myself making videos for the next 12 years on and off. Like, you know, there have been long times where I go without not posting anything, and there was even one time where I pretty much took my channel down. So this is definitely even just looking at the uploads up top here, I don't know if I would have thought these would have been my uploads 12 years ago. Light's next question, and I think this is the second to last one that I'll do in this video, is what do you think could be improved upon? Just off the bat, just staring at my channel here, I think the amount of effort that I put into my thumbnails could be improved. I've never been like a graphics guy or like a Photoshop guy. I hate making thumbnails. Anytime I make something that isn't part of a series, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to make a new thumbnail. Do I even want to really go through with this? And so that's why my thumbnails are mostly just pictures where I add text onto them. You see, I can't even be bothered to put like episode numbers on the thumbnail because I hate making thumbnails so bad. And that's why for stuff like live streams and these Doom speedruns, I didn't even bother. I would say I have quite a few videos on my channel that probably should have thumbnails but don't. Sometimes I'll get Light to help me, thank goodness, but I think that's a big area where I could improve. Even if I did just put the episode number on the thumbnail, I think that would be a big improvement. I think another thing I have been doing better on recently is consistency. I know the YouTube algorithm and especially your subs appreciate it when you upload on a consistent schedule, but you know, uploading daily for like a week and then never for months, and then you know, uploading twice and then never for a couple more months. People don't really like that. So now that I have this twice a week thing going for the past couple weeks, it's been nice. And I think people appreciate it. I think the YouTube algorithm appreciates it. Not that these videos have insane amount of views. I think, and see, improve is an interesting word because I guess it depends on what my ultimate goal is. If my ultimate goal is to gain subscribers, there are a lot of things I could improve on. I would probably be playing different games. I would probably be playing with more people than just myself. I think there's a huge market for like co-op channels where like two people play, because it's really nice to be able to play off each other and joke around. I watch a couple channels where it's like two people playing a game and they're hilarious just because there's two of them going back and forth. So I'd probably get my brother in on it with me, which I'd like to do, but we'll see. I'd probably be playing newer games also. I don't know if you can tell, but I really like my older games, at least to record. So I don't know if you can tell, especially from this video, but I'm kind of boring. I don't really react to games, like even on a first playthrough. Like I'm never the kind of guy that'll be like, oh my gosh, you know, when like a plot twist happens, and I don't add like fake inflections to my voice a lot of the time. Sometimes I try, but like, you know, like you don't hear me sitting here going like this, do you guys? Where I kind of like throw my voice all over the place just to sound more interesting and more energetic and fake. I don't know. I just talk how I normally talk, and I think that's something that if I wanted more subs, I would change too, is I would throw the fake emotion into my voice like a lot of YouTubers do, because people do like to listen to that. So yeah, I think those are just a couple things. Thumbnails, game selection, getting other people to record with, sounding less boring. I know I've talked about this before, but there was a period where I would do videos right after I woke up, like 6 a.m. in the morning, and my voice would sound like it did at the start of this video, except worse, because I think in high school my voice used to be deeper, and it made me sound depressed. So I used to get a lot of comments that were like, are you okay? You sound kind of depressed, but no, I'm fine. I think more live streams would help too. I generally get really good involvement on live streams, which is surprising. I don't know if people just like watching them or what, but like you'll see on like videos I don't get that much interaction, but on, I think my average views for live streams are like 100, which is surprising. And I think this includes live views and views that have been watched afterwards, if that makes sense. But yeah, it seems like people really like the live videos, but to do that I'd have to probably move where my computer is, because I share a like office area, and so it's not always the easiest. Oh yeah, but I did kind of get sidetracked. I was talking about playing newer games. So I don't really like playing through games on my first playthrough, recording them, because what happens is, because it's a new game, I probably die a lot, and when I die, I don't like that to show up on video, because, you know, that makes it look like I suck at the game, which I probably do, but it sucks to have it on camera. And then I get upset and I stop talking, because when I'm upset I don't talk as much. Like, I don't really rage, I just be quiet, and so I don't think that makes for that great of a video. So that's why I try to avoid doing first playthroughs, because like a lot of the games I play on my channel, like Arkham City, Spyro, I've played multiple times. I know what I'm doing, and if I die, it's because I did something stupid, or because, you know, it's just random death, which happens even if you played a game a ton of times. And that's why I've never done anything like Dark Souls. I've tried so many times to do Dark Souls videos, but I'm just terrible at those games. It takes me probably time and a half longer than it does for a lot of people to get through those games. I still enjoy them, but I'm not good at them, and so I don't think they would make for good content, when most of the time it's just me dying, and I'm not a very funny person to watch when I die. And so the last question of this video, as Light's last question, it says where do we go from here? Like, what's next? I think this is a good question to answer for the end of a New Year's video. Basically, I'd like to keep on the 2-a-week upload schedule. I would like to play newer games. Maybe what I'll do is I'll play them through once and then play them through as a video. I think I could see that working all right. I'd like to do more tutorials, because, you know, my channel has been about helping people for a long time with stuff, so I'd like to continue to do that. Maybe it won't be Roblox, maybe it will. We'll see. There are a lot of things that you can do tutorials on. As always, I'm open to suggestions with that, of course, also. Not just tutorials, but any kind of video idea. But yeah, honestly, I don't have too much planned out. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. Maybe I'll try experimenting with other types of videos. Who knows? That is going to do it for me today, guys. I'm pretty sure I got to all the questions. If I didn't, I do apologize. Yeah, I hope you guys had at least decent last year, and I hope you all have a wonderful this year. I don't know how the year rolling over is going to magically fix everything, but it seems like a lot of people kind of think it does, or at least that's how it feels reading a lot of stuff, but who knows, maybe it will. I guess we'll see. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry this took me an extra day to get up. I wanted to get it up yesterday on my usual Friday upload day, but I was a procrastinator and I got questions too late, and so it's going up today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, leave any thoughts you have down in the comments. I'd like to start a conversation. Just anything that you want to talk about, just post it down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Have a great day and year. Goodbye.